Hello everyone. Now we are done with the listahanan or the national targeting system of 4Ps. Now, we are entering the enrollment process or the registration of 4Ps beneficiaries, based in part of the Kilos-Unlad framework. Welcome to the beneficiary registration and updating process of 4Ps. Let's begin with the overview of beneficiary registration and data management system or BDMS of 4Ps. BDMS is one of the system of 4Ps that ensures that all eligible households are enrolled in the program and that the beneficiary data is updated. BDMS has two components, namely beneficiary registration and beneficiary updating. First, the registration process. Registration is an important activity of 4Ps as this serves as the entry point of the household beneficiary into the program. It is conducted rigorously as it affects the subsequent activities and procedures such as compliance verification, payment, and case management.
How do the eligible households are identified and selected for registration? The National Household Targeting Office, or NHTO, will submit the data on poor and near poor households to 4Ps through the Planning, Monitoring, and Evaluation Division. Once the data on poor and near poor households are received, the 4Ps will run the Eligibility Check Routine, or ECR, which is a process that will determine the households with pregnant women and 0 to 18-year-old members. Once checked by PMED, all eligible households shall undergo validation and registration process of 4Ps. Duplicate checking and migration of households in the PPIS are also conducted. Remember, data completeness and accuracy is important. Thus, the registration process requires submission of pertinent documents necessary for capturing correct data. The beneficiary registration undergoes three phases: pre-validation phase, validation proper, and post-validation phase. Pre-validation is where the preliminary activities such as selection of eligible households, data and registration system preparations, ensuring completeness of logistics and coordination with partners take place. Once the data of poor and near poor households are received by 4Ps, the program shall conduct quality check to ensure the correctness, accuracy, and uniqueness of households. PDMD shall then generate the registration forms of the clean list households together with the list of identified possible duplicates for validation. The pre-generated registration forms from NPMO, which include the grantee list, household roster, validation forms of identified eligible household, and list of possible duplicates, shall be distributed to concerned CMLs through the respective RPMO, POO, and MOO. Remember, we have to ensure that no duplicate households is registered in the program. This is why we conduct thorough duplicity checking of all existing and eligible households. So, what can we do to avoid issues such as duplication? LGUs can help us with the following: attest to the identity and eligibility of the households, provide additional workforce and logistics for the activity, and ensure the presence of representative from the local receivable registry, City Municipal Health Office, City Municipal Social Welfare Office, Department of Education, Barangay Captain, and tribal leaders during the community assembly. The next phase is the validation proper. This is where the actual validation of the information of beneficiaries is being conducted. There are two approaches to conduct the validation. First is through community assembly. The identified eligible households are gathered in one venue with set date and time. Identified eligible households must be located near to each other. The number of households should be considered to ensure the quality of validation activity. In order to address the specific needs of beneficiaries, the registration team shall observe gender-sensitive spaces. The following shall be present during the committee assembly: separate booth for VAUSI cases, spaces for pregnant and lactating women, priority lane for senior citizens, pregnant women and persons with disability, and other spaces or process as may be deemed necessary. The interview shall have two phases. First, validation of household information. Second, intake interview using the General Intake Sheet or CF Form 1. The intake interview intends to gather information on the family's current socioeconomic conditions, health, both physical and mental, safety, and protection concerns that may require immediate intervention and referral. The initial information gathered from the GIS is intended to guide the case manager in building more in-depth information about the household. In cases of disclosure, the beneficiary shall be referred to the City Municipal Social Welfare and Development Officer who is in charge of the VAUSI booth for proper intervention of the case. In the absence of the booth or CMSWD staff, the assigned staff shall prepare and submit referral letter and case intake sheet to the City Municipal Social Welfare Officer within 24 hours. It is advisable that partner residential facilities offering protective custody is informed on the community assembly schedule so they are prepared to accept clients in need of emergency shelter. The second approach is through house-to-house validation and intake interview. It is used when it is impossible to gather the households in a community assembly, or when the eligible households could not attend the scheduled community assembly. The last phase of the registration process is the post-validation. In this phase, the accomplished registration forms are reviewed and encoded in the PPIS. The summary of the validated households for registration, together with the certificate of no duplicates, is then endorsed to the regional director for approval. The RBDO shall then endorse a certified list of households recommended for processing of initial payment to the regional program coordinator. CP-GVB cases shall be encoded in the caseload inventory for monitoring. After the registration, there are still two things that must be conducted. First is, within 30 days after the registration, the City Municipal Link shall conduct the SWIDI assessment to the newly registered households, which will be discussed in the next session. Second, during the first two family development sessions of the newly registered households, the following shall be done: the comprehensive program orientation, signing of oath of commitment, facilitation and release of Pantawid Pamilya ID, and signing of LBP form for household under areas identified for cash card as mode of payment. Case management begins in enrollment. The initial information gathered in this stage is crucial in building a more in-depth understanding of the situation of the families assigned to you as their case manager. Beneficiary updating is the process of collecting new information and the current status of the beneficiary in the program. It is part of the crucial task of the Municipal Link, intertwined with their task as case manager, hence due diligence has to be practiced all the time. As case manager, we have to encourage active participation of the beneficiaries in the program. Beneficiary updating is a beneficiary-driven process of 4 Ps wherein the beneficiaries proactively initiate updating of household information. Always remember, the field implementers, cluster, and regional focals shall ensure that only requests for updates with complete documents will be facilitated. Moreover, veracity of the documents submitted shall be ensured. Thank you for listening. I hope that I imparted clearly my knowledge to you. See you then!